Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA.
Where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing so you can start your day off the AFA way. And in case if you haven't forgotten, absolutely fucking amazing. Exactly as you are. Mark has written a book all about it.
Oh my God, you are absolutely fucking amazing, exactly as you are. So here we are, recognizing that first thing on this Friday, April 2nd, 2021.
Breathe it in. So, right, letter A, amazing. Ananda, airway, awesome.
Yeah.
You're all adored and loved.
Yes.
Exactly as you are.
Yes, absolutely. So, Sherry, welcome. Welcome to
Welcome.
Friday.
And it's the only Friday, April 2nd. We all made it through April 1st.
We did. Listen, we're good. We're good. We're in April now. 2021 is shaping up to be great. Here we are. And why don't we just start off with the daily love? Because it really does have to do with being AFA.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking amazing. Remembering all the love you carry inside of you.
Yes.
All right, here we go, Mark.
All right, listen, do you want to do your reading? You want me to do the daily love?
Yeah, I'll just do my quick little reading. So,
all right, good.
I'm kind of like sharing a little Swami stuff. I'm into little, I call it Swami Bhakta Fakakta. It's one of my friends, right? The little spiritual stuff. I really like to get into things in the morning. And I pulled two things. I read from an angel calendar, and I actually pulled a quote from your book this morning. And they relate. So it was really interesting. So the April 2nd reading, you ready for this? It's just so simple. The power is yours at any given moment. You have the power to choose every single moment and every single day how you want to be, how you want to show up in the world, how you want to process emotion, how you want to think. It's just like a light switch, on and off. You can turn it on and off.
Yes.
Flip that coin over. That's why we have our love goggles on today.
That's right. And that's what all this work is about. All the work that I've done over the last 40 years, and you've done all these things. It's all moving towards stripping away the illusionary stuff and getting to the fact that you're absolutely powerful in your moment of choosing.
Self-empowerment.
Yes.
So so I picked up Mark's book and I was like, what does Mark have to say? And I came to chapter 4, and the name of the chapter 4 is I Might As Well Be Me. Everyone else is taken. And then the quote that goes along with that was from Lao Tzu. And he says, because one believes in oneself because one believes in oneself, one doesn't try to convince others. Because one is content with oneself, one doesn't need the approval of others. Because one accepts oneself, the whole world accepts him or her as they are. Lao Tzu.
The Tao. Tao Te Ching.
The Tao.
Yes.
Really powerful.
Powerful 2,000-year-old wisdom.
Wisdom. So I want to say thank you, Mark, for writing that book, because if it wasn't for this book that y'all need to get, I wouldn't have found that quote.
Oh my gosh, that was, there's a lot of meat on that bone, like I said the other day in the Daily Love. Yeah, Sherry. And you know what? It ties into what I chose today.
Good.
And I pulled from You Are What You Think by Dr. Wayne Dyer. And this one is perfect for an experience that I had last night, and I'm going to share. So let me just read this real quick. Ready?
Sure.
If you would like to become a person who has the capacity to have all of your wishes fulfilled, it will be necessary for you to move to that higher plane of existence where you are a co-creator of your life. This means you'll need to undertake what is often presumed to be the difficult task of changing your concept of yourself. Your concept of yourself is everything you believe to be true about your inner and outer self. Those beliefs have created the life you're now living at what I call an ordinary level of awareness. To move into extraordinary space requires you to change what you believe is true.
Here we go. It gets back to belief and truth.
Yeah, choice.
Right?
choice.
Yes. Choice.
Yeah.
You have the
So
power to choose.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I chose an example from last night about how this, how moving from one way of being into another can change the context of everything. So last night and this morning, I had the experience that I've had many, many, many
Mhm.
nights, which is I'll go to bed, I'll sleep for about an hour, and then a noise or something will wake me up because I'm light sleeping, right? And I will not be able to go back to sleep. Like no matter what I do, melatonin, cannabis, whatever it is, I'm awake. And I'm awake because I have high anxiety and worry. Like it was gut wrenching. It was horrible last night, right? So 5 a.m. I finally fell asleep. So I got, 2 hours sleep, hour and a half. But here's the difference. In the past, I would have that experience and it would throw me for a loop for days and weeks. It would affect me greatly because I would identify that as being me. I would say, oh my God, I'm flawed. I'm broken. I have these experiences. It's awful. It's just another example of just how flawed you really are, which was the early programming, right?
Because you can't sleep.
Right, because you can't sleep and you have all this anxiety and worry. And so the difference is today using the tools and what Dr. Wayne Dyer has mentioned here, it's about what do I truly believe to be true about myself? And what I truly believe to be true about myself is that I'm absolutely fucking amazing. And what I truly believe is that all of you are too. So I don't identify with this moment of anxiety and worry. I recognize that that is just goings on within this wiring and circuitry that I have that's been patterned forever and ever and ever. And I wake up after an hour and a half sleep and I'm not attached to that. And I'm moving into Friday free and clear to be a glorious, loving, joyful human being,
Isn't
not
that
weighed down.
That's Mark, that's awesome. You didn't buy into the story. You didn't make
No,
something wrong with not sleeping. One of the things that you've truly
exactly.
helped me with, this is great,
Mhm.
was when you know me, I'm a whirlwind. So,
That
and
is
when I
true. Force to be reckoned with.
whirlwind, and that energy can be so big, it's hard to contain. And so when you do get triggered and you have those moments and you create those stories, I love how you've brought me to a place of Sherry, you're absolutely fucking amazing. You're having a human moment.
That's right.
Embrace it, move through it, love it. It's a part of
Yeah.
who you are, and it's okay,
Mhm.
right?
It is okay. Now,
Yeah.
the experience I had last night was, as I said, it was really, I mean, it was gut-wrenching at times because it was really painful, to have this anxiety and worry. But I also recognize that it is a push for me to get into action in different areas of my life and
There you
act with
go.
integrity, right? There are things that I need to take care of that I was worried and anxious about, which brings that on, that I can now get up today and actually
Take
get
care
into
of.
action and take care of them.
There you
So,
go.
even though it's a little painful, that's a good motivator, right? We don't really do anything until we're in pain.
Oh,
The pain
right.
motivates us to make a change in our lives, and we do. So, here we are.
Yeah. Here we
We're gonna
are. And so
have
how does
AFA day today, baby.
AFA day? And so we're going to bring that into cannabis. So, right.
Yeah.
So when we have issues with sleep, issues with anxiety,
Yeah.
issues with those stories, cannabis works
Mhm.
on the endocannabinoid system. Our central nervous system is part of that.
Yes.
Cannabinoids are adaptogens and they help us to adapt to stress. So, boom,
And
fun.
stress, stress is a killer. It is indicated in so many disease states. It is horrible. And I had the opportunity to have lunch with a friend who I hadn't seen in 20 years, I think, maybe 20 years. And I had an opportunity to have lunch with him, and he relayed a story about how, in a few months ago, he has been a runner his whole life, and he went out to go on a run, and he couldn't even make it out the front door. He got winded and couldn't even breathe. He had to sit down, and he
Mm,
couldn't breathe. And he let this go on for another month and a half. Well, he went to the hospital. Finally, he went and had to his doctor and had a echocardiogram, and they said, "Oh yeah, we need to call the ambulance and take you to the hospital right now." And so he had a 99% blockage the one of the primary arteries and primary blood vessels in his heart, right? The widowmaker. You know, we've heard of the widowmaker, which is because most of the time when you have that blockage, you're dead.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So my point of saying this is that he said to the doc, he said, "Listen, doc, you know, I've exercised my whole life. There's no cardiac history in my family. Like, how did this happen?" And the doc said, "Let me ask you a question. You get a little stress in your life?" He says, "Yeah, I got, you know, I have 4 kids. I have, you know, kids going to college. I have this business that I'm running. Yeah, my life's stressful." He said, "That's why."
There you go.
Yeah. So
stress management.
yeah.
Cannabis.
So here we are.
Here we are.
Endocannabinoid system Friday, fun fact Friday.
Fun Fact Friday. And so we've been talking about different chemo-based types effects, looking at chemo type 1, 2, and 3. Type 1 is high THC and low CBD. Chemo type 2 is equal amounts of THC and CBD. And chemo type 3 is high CBD, low THC. And that kind of fits into anxiety. You know, when you have anxiety, you don't want to be amped up too much. So when we're working with patients, we actually like to, you know, it depends upon the patient, everyone's different, but if it's just pure anxiety, starting off with some CBD, because you don't want to amp up the THC too quick, too soon, and have them have a bad effect. So we're going to be talking about chemo type 3 today.
All right. Yes.
So quickly, Mark, chemotypes do indicate, like, so they help to predict a specific medicinal property, a potential, and also the potential for adverse side effects. And we're talking about
they give us a little bit more
of a reference.
A little bit more direction to be able to work with these medicines. A little bit more structure. You're right. So in this case, you know, higher CBD than THC. It's going to be less of an intoxicating effect. You know, and the potential to decrease anxiety is going to be higher with the higher CBD. Yeah. So,
and then we have the hemp varieties of, you know, CBD dominant type of chemotype. So, you know, in the hemp varieties, and hopefully, you know, laws are going to be changing around that. But hemp varieties of CBD are generally those products that have less than 0.3% THC. So when you're looking at CBD products, it can come from the cannabis plant, which has greater than 0.3% THC, or the hemp plant, which has less than 0.3 THC, but they're both still cannabis.
Right.
And so hopefully what they're going to look at, the laws are going to change. So the hemp plants can have more than 0.3%. They're looking at 1%. I think that's,
because here's the reality, Sherry. 0.3% is just an arbitrary number that was picked by some random person who really not based on anything of scientific evidence.
I know.
So it's just an arbitrary number. It's just like, let's pull it out of the hat. 0.3%. That's what we're going to say is legal. Now, here's the issue. Growing hemp, so many different factors go into how that THC level turns out, right? The growing, the weather, when you harvest it, how long you leave it drying, all of those things have an effect on that THC level. So if a farmer plants a whole field full of hemp and then harvests that, and it happens to be 0.4% THC, well, according to the governmental rules, they have to destroy it.
That's the part that's called hot hemp, right? So it's called hot hemp. So it's interesting too, because I'm like, how can we fix that? Because, you know, the issue is,
you can remediate that.
Exactly. You can dilute it. You can, you know, the final product should be the determination, not what's harvested, because the plant goes through various chemical processes. It gets break down, it gets made into different products. So if the final product has less than 0.3%, I mean, I just think the laws are ridiculous, but that's a whole other 5 shows.
Everybody does. And, you know, so we continue to work to change those regulations so that they match somewhat reality. Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about chemotype 3, high CBD, low THC. So, Sherry, you know, different ratios, right?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of different ratios, and we've talked about them before, but the ones that have our higher CBD to THC, we see a lot of 1 to 8. So 1 part CBD. No, it's the opposite, right? 8 part CBD,
1 part.
1 part THC.
Yeah.
Same, 15 to 1, 15 part CBD, 1 part THC,
Mhm.
and then 25 to 1, 25 part CBD, 1 part THC.
Right.
So, and then we talked about too, week before, we talked about the chemo type 2s that has more of the equal, right? And those ratios can be, 4 to 1, 3 to 1, 2 to 1. So we're talking about much higher CBD ratios in chemo type 3. So what about some strains, Mark?
So, we have some samples, some strains. So Charlotte's Web, which is a very popular one, that usually shows up with 0.5% THC and 17% CBD. So that's the ratio that you usually in that particular variety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then ACDC is another one. That was actually my first cannabis CBD strain that I actually tried. And I really, really liked it, when I was inhaling it. So it's 0.8% THC and 15.4% CBD. So that's a good ratio.
And the next one is Cannatonic.
Like
And
that
that's
one too.
0.8% THC, like ACDC, but it's 20.8% CBD. And again, these ratios could change
Different.
every crop, and but they stay pretty close to those ratios, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. So those 3 things that we talked about, the reason why they're calling them cannabis CBD, chemotypes is because they have greater than 0.3% THC. So there's also many types of flowering strains of hemp, right, that have a THC less than 0.3%. So I picked out a list of the top flowering strains of hemp for 2021, and we're going to go through them really quickly.
Okay.
You ready, Mark?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
Yeah. So first, 3, Lifter, Bubba Kush, and Frosted Kush.
Here we go. And we have Sour Space Candy, Sour Lifter, and Electra.
Oh, here's some more. El Jefe, Special Sauce, and Sour Special Sauce.
And then the last 4 of the top 20 or the top strains of 2021 for flowering strains of hemp: Hawaiian Haze, Magic Bullet, Honolulu Haze, and Juicy Fruit.
Yeah. Okay. So listen, what's the cognitive change potential with these particular chemo type 3 varieties, Sherry?
Well, according to cannabis, there are no cognitive changes or impairments as long as the THC is less than I think it says, was it 1.3%? Oh, 0.3%.
0.3%.
0.3%. So they actually did study this. And the cognitive changes is not a bad thing, especially if it improves cognitive function, the neurogenesis, neuroprotectant, and decreasing the stress response to trauma. So what they're looking at is negative cognitive changes, and it has not happened. No negative cognitive changes.
Beautiful.
Positive.
Yeah.
Positive. I like this one. Gentle changes in mood, right? That's what we want to do. Is we want to gently introduce this plant to people, and go slow, and start low, go slow. And so we see that over time, positive, gentle changes in mood. And sometimes patients need to round it off with other cannabinoids, but this is a really good starting point for so many people that are new.
Yeah.
Using the low. What about relaxation, Mark?
Listen, it's a mild potential for relaxation, but you got to remember the biphasic effects. So, the varieties that have a little bit higher THC, it's all dependent, right, on the person and the variety. So you really need to work to figure out where your sweet spot is. You might get that mild relaxation.
Yes. And then the other thing too, they talked about in cannabis is they look at adverse effects potential. So across the board, it said the therapeutic effects for chemo type 3 are therapeutic across the board. And they're looking at multiple different conditions. They said that the adverse effects are rare and dose dependent. It's really, really important. And what I love this, no risk of addiction potential as long as the THC is less than 0.3%.
Well, listen, even if the THC is higher than 0.3%, there have been many studies done that have shown that cannabis is on low on the scale of
I agree.
qualities, right? I mean, you know, caffeine and nicotine are higher than cannabis. So
I just have to, I'll just
yeah,
confess something. And this is,
yeah,
I know I'm okay saying this. You know, my mother said to me, "You're using cannabis every day. Does it mean you're addicted?" And I said, "No." I said, "I might be addicted to feeling good, being healthy, wanting to function in life, wanting to have a good night's sleep, wanting to be able to eat healthy nutrients, wanting to be able to engage with my kids.
uh-huh,
So I am kind of addicted to a high quality of life." You know what I mean? So I look at it and I just, you know, we have these discussions
yeah.
around consumption, and I really feel it is your intention. How are you intending to use it? Because I use cannabis every day, and I want to feel good. I want to be a productive member of society. So it's really
I
looking
take
at
my
multiple
blood
different
pressure
things.
medication every day.
Right, exactly.
Have for, 15 years,
Mm,
because I like my blood pressure to be a little bit lower than it was. So it works and you do it,
it
right?
does
So
work.
cannabis is a medicine and you use your medicine on a daily basis.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Denny mentioned something here.
mhm,
Senator Rand Paul put up the bill to raise THC to 1%. That's a
good.
pretty interesting fact right there.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is Fun Fact
Yep.
Friday. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you, everyone.
Yeah. Good
Yes.
morning, everybody. Awesome to see everyone here this morning
Yes,
in the
we
conversation.
I know,
Yeah.
absolutely. So Canna Keys, right?
Yep.
So Canna Keys in general, they talked about the top conditions.
Hmm.
And we look at Canna Keys a lot because it's the most updated research. And so the sample top conditions that
Yeah.
chemotype 3, which is
Hmm.
high CBD, low THC, is epilepsy, heart disease, believe it or not,
Hmm.
acne, addictions, all of them, alcohol, polypharmacy, opioids,
Hmm.
and psychosis. Interesting. So
Right.
that these are the
Right.
top conditions.
Yeah. Yeah. So and a lot of it has to do with that higher CBD concentration,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Does. It just rounds it off. You know, CBD is the great influencer on how the rest of the plant works. You know,
Yeah.
I look at it as the divine orchestrator, the big giant pinball that goes and says, "I'll go here, go there, do this, do that. Oh, that's too much here." It's the great influencer because it works indirectly with the cannabinoid receptors
Hmm.
and directly with all of the other neurotransmitter signaling systems. It is a fascinating cannabinoid.
It really
CBD controls, it
yes.
allows you to control your experience.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's right.
When in doubt, when you don't know what to do, you don't know what may be best for you, book a consult with us. You know,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, we're
Yes.
here. We want to help you.
And Sherry, what we do in the green nurse community and all of the wonderful practitioners involved, what we do is going to just increase in importance as we roll out. I mean, New York just signed an adult rec bill, which I find it fascinating that I'll get when we talk about New York, we've been doing medical cards in New York for a while now.
Yeah.
Their
With two more
medical
nurse
program
practitioners.
is absolute shit. I mean, it's awful. The conditions, what the hoops that they make the patient jump through to get access to the medicine are ridiculous. And yet, on the other hand, they just say, "Oh, if you want to use it medically, we're going to make it really hard for you to have access to it. But if you want to get down the street and buy it recreationally, have at it. Yeah, go ahead."
Yeah,
I
it doesn't
just
make sense.
get it. Yeah.
So the part that I love, Mark, is what does that do for us? It creates an opportunity for us as cannabis nurses to go into New York and say, how about
Right.
cannabis? How about canna wellness? So let's
Right. That's what
incorporate
it
both.
is. We're kind of wellness professionals. Like, w- we do a lot of work with people who are just looking to utilize this to make their lives better, to feel better, but don't necessarily want to be part of the medical program
Yep, I
for a
agree.
lot of different reasons. I mean, there are a lot of reasons. If you happen to be someone who likes to go to the shooting range and have your gun permit, well, you have a
Mhm.
medical cannabis card, you're not going to have that. So, there are a lot of reasons why folks may not necessarily want to be in the medical program. And because it's so damn hard sometimes.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It is horrible. I'll tell you a funny story. So there were a lot of doctors last
Mhm.
year. This is an interesting concept that
Yeah.
were actually, because it's legal
Mm.
medicinally in Massachusetts and
Mm.
adult use is also legal. And
Yep.
what happened during the pandemic was they shut down the adult use dispensaries for a little while. And so
Yeah.
there was a huge influx of people getting cards. And I always, I like to get to know
Yeah.
my patients. And a lot of the doctors, I asked them, I said, "Oh, are you need a cannabis?" And there was a couple of them that said, "No, I've been purchasing it on the adult use market. It's helped me so much."
Hmm.
Right. So just think about that. So they didn't want to get their medical card because they didn't want anyone to know. They didn't want to be on the books. They didn't,
Right.
for whatever reason. But these
Right.
actual physicians,
Shelly's talking about a reason why, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So these actual physicians,
Right.
so yeah, so it's intention, how you're
Hmm.
using it. And where I'm so excited as this continues to
Yeah.
roll out legally across the United States, it's
Right.
really free the plant, free the
Free the
plant,
plant. Right.
you
Right.
know.
And all of these issues, I mean, that's why we're here. That's why we're talking about this every single day, because we need to move this from where it's at federally to where it needs to be. And
Yeah.
that is that it doesn't affect your medical card, that it doesn't affect your employability, that it doesn't, that it doesn't preclude you from being in certain industries like healthcare.
Yeah.
We got to move the needle, and that's why we're here. That's why you're here, everybody.
Spread
And
the love,
start
share
that
the message.
conversation.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? We'll get there. We'll
we're gonna
change
get there.
minds over
We'll
time.
get there.
Yep, yep. So, Sherry,
Friday, April 2nd, and we
woo,
have coming right after this, we are bringing you high vibes, vibrational healing,
mhm,
frequency, energy,
yeah,
right? Energy, love,
yeah,
light, information,
hmm,
and in the Green Nurse community. So join us there at 9 a.m.
yeah.
Green Nurse Denise,
Listen,
Green Nurse
amazing work.
Michelle,
Yeah,
Carrie Lee, and we have some new nurses that are going to come on board as well, to start learning about Healy. So Healy, energy
right.
healing, frequency healing. We want you
Yeah,
all to feel good, and we want you to
yeah.
understand that energy healing really is a real thing.
I'll
So
tell you what. Both Jamie, my wife, and I have had. We both have back issues, right? I mean, who doesn't?
yeah,
We walk upright where we're not meant to. We end up with back issues. And it's been flared up for the last week. Well, we both put on some frequency patches,
there you go.
and they're amazing. And her back is fine today, and my back is fine. My sciatica is gone. And hey, this
Works.
frequency healing, this energy healing, absolutely is a new genre. And not really, it's an old genre that's new. Like
It's coming
psychedelics.
around. The
Like
people are,
psychedelics were all studied in the 40s and 50s and early 60s, right? Intensely studied by scientists and the government. We're just coming back around again to say, oh,
yeah,
yeah. As
yeah,
like Chris said the other night, humanity needs it, and that's when it reappears. So
that's when it reappears.
energy
We are
healing, baby, 9 a.m. this morning.
9 a.m. this
Be a part
morning.
of
Be a part of it. So
it. Yeah.
yeah, so
Yep.
it's going to be an AFA day.
It is already.
You know,
Absolutely.
and
I'm
thank
having
you
an
all for
AFA
joining
day
us this morning.
too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us this morning,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
have a wonderful weekend.
Yeah, we'll see you again. Well, we'll see you at 9 a.m., but we'll
9
see you
a.m.
again on Monday morning. Have the most amazing day today, because it is the only one that you're going to get of this particular day. And Sherry, Shelly wants to know, where can you join at 9? Where are you streaming?
Okay, so we're going to be streaming in the Green Nurse community. Denise and Carrie Lee are on there right now, and I'll have them put a link right in the comments.
Yep.
You can jump right in. You're going to
Mhm.
love it. It's great, really fun, informational, and you're going to
Oh,
feel it.
yeah.
It feels good. So there will
Uh,
be a link put right below in there, so you can join it. And also, too, if you go, we have a group. The Green Nurse community is attached right to the Green Nurse
yeah.
page that you're on right now. So
Yep. Yep.
come join us.
Awesome.
And so,
Thank you,
yes.
everybody. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We love you all, and you are absolutely amazing, exactly as you are. Don't forget that. Don't let anybody else tell you anything different. And so today, I'm gonna have that AFA day. You will too. And Sherry, what's it all about?
It's about living your best life, helping others do the same, and stay lifted, everyone. We love you.
Yeah.